Hiltz with Bin 412, back with another Wine of the Month video. First and foremost, I hope this video finds you well. These are certainly unprecedented times for all of us. I know some are more impacted than others, and I just hope that you and your families are doing well and will come out of this pandemic stronger, closer, and more resilient than ever. Now, I can't believe that I've done 15 videos over the last almost year and a half and haven't talked about one of my favorite wines that I enjoy teaching people about, and that grape is Zinfandel. I think the reason I love teaching people about this grape is either the fact that they still immediately think of white Zinfandel, and others who have had the real deal still have no appreciation for the unique history of this grape and the true piece of American winemaking history available at their fingertips for relatively modest prices. Let's start with white Zinfandel, something a tour guide at Robert Mondavi once told me was a crime to the grape. First off, all grape juice is clear, for the most part. Red wines get their color from contact with the grape skins after crushing and during fermentation. White Zinfandel was actually made by mistake by Sutter Home in the early 1970s. Winemaker Bob Trinchero was trying to make a batch of what was supposed to be a dry rosé of Zinfandel with only a slight amount of skin contact to produce that pale rosé color, but the wine stopped fermenting, leaving a bunch of residual sugars behind. He decided to take a risk, bottled it as it was, and surprisingly it took off. So much so that by 1987 it was the top-selling premium wine in the United States. While dry rosé has come back into fashion and grown tremendously in popularity, unfortunately when I ask someone if they like Zinfandel, they immediately think of that sweet accident that dominated the marketplace for generations. Now Zinfandel, and the typical field blends made from it, is one of the closest things America has to its own native wine. Zinfandel, along with other varietals like Petit Syrah, Palorsan, Alicante Bouschet, Negrette, and dozens of other, even white grape varieties, were brought over and planted in droves in the late 1800s and early 1900s by Italian immigrants to California. Now, each variety in the field contributed its own characteristics to the final wine, and the planting of all these different grapes ensured something could be harvested regardless of the vintage. Some are early ripening, some do better with longer ripening times, but by having an entire field of mixed varieties, winemakers could be sure that something would be ready to harvest when the time came to pick. Now, for years, conventional wisdom held that Zinfandel was the same grape as Primitivo, which is grown in Puglia in the southern part of Italy, which does in fact taste quite similar. But through the work of grape geneticist Dr. Carol Meredith and some of her counterparts at the University of Zagreb, the actual genetic match of Zinfandel was found across the Adriatic Sea in Croatia. There's a grape called Plavix Mali that's widely planted and was close but not identical. So after searching vineyards for years and years, Dr. Meredith actually stumbled across an ancient grape that was barely cultivated any longer called Surlieniak Castellanski, literally the red from the town of Castel. And that, as it turns out, wound up being the true genetic twin of Zinfandel. That, along with another ancient grape, Dobricic, actually are the two grapes that were the parents of the modern-day Plavix Mali that's found widely throughout Croatia. One of the distinctive traits about Zinfandel is its ability to become much more complex of a wine as the vines can continue to age. While other wines can claim the same, they usually produce for only a while and then they lose their punch at a certain point in their life and are replanted to younger vines. But with Zin, the older the vine, the less berries get produced, and what little fruit does result is concentrated, packed with flavors. And additionally, these old head-trained vines are barely irrigated over the years, some not irrigated at all, and forces the roots to dig really deep into the earth to find water. You'll also find that they're not trellised on a nice, neat rows like other varieties that you see growing throughout California, for instance, but they're trained into what's called a goblet or head pruned. And over the years, every decision that's been made in terms of how they want that vine to grow is impacted the overall shape of the vine. Much more manually intensive to harvest these grapes. You're not just going along and cutting them one at a time at waist level. You're really digging around this vine to get to the fruit. On a visit to the famous Hayne Vineyard in Napa Valley, the Chase family who owns the vineyard told me that the vines on their property, which were planted in 1903, the roots of those vines are 80 feet deep into the earth. Really forces these vines to dig deep for water. They've been dry farmed for years, and it really brings out a tremendous amount of minerality and earthiness in the finished product. To think that some of these vines have survived things like Prohibition and certainly the desire to rip them out and replant to more lucrative Bordeaux varietals like Cabernet Sauvignon definitely has a romanticism about it. And drinking these wines is, in my mind, really like drinking a piece of American wine growing history. Now here in front of me are some of my favorite Zinfandel producers and made by winemakers who are passionate about this grape and its preservation. Through their work with Historical Vineyard Society, they're doing their part to buy up these old historic sites, ensure they are well tended, replanted as needed, and ready to continue to serve the next generation of winemakers. So really have a lot of respect for a lot of these guys. Turley, made by Tegan Pasalacqua. This is Bedrock, made by Morgan Twain Peterson, whose father, Joel Peterson, was responsible for some of the legendary Ravenswood Zinfandels in the past, and now actually owns a winery called Once and Future that you should check out. Chase Cellars, owners of the Hayne Vineyard that I was talking about. They've been selling their fruit for years, obviously, but started bottling their own in 1998, and they are definitely well worth checking out. Winemaker Russell Bevan, known for many big Napa cabs, is making the wines there as of 2015, I think was his first full vintage. This is Limerick Lane. That's the Bedrock Vineyard. That's what threw me for a second. Made by Jake Bilbro. Father Chris Bilbro was responsible for putting Marietta wine on the map, and Jake, his son, is now making the wines at Limerick Lane. Fantastic Zinfandels. A. Raffinelli in Sonoma, another fantastic producer. There's also Ridge. Robert Bialy is a great one. Just tremendous producers that really take this grape seriously. What we're going to drink today, though, is Carlisle, made by Mike Officer. And interestingly, this is the 2014 Hayne Vineyard. So again, the owners of the Hayne Vineyard used to sell some of this fruit. 2014 was the last year that Mike Officer was able to get any of this. So I'm excited to jump in and try Mike's take on the Hayne Vineyard fruit. And the Hayne Vineyard's been owned by the same family since 1872. It was replanted with Zinfandel in 1903 after phylloxera killed the original vineyard. So the vines here are still 117 years old. Most of the old vine vineyards are in Sonoma, as I mentioned, so having this piece of history in St. Helena on the Napa side, where there's incredible pressure to replant these sites to much more lucrative Cabernet, is really incredible, and the wine speaks for itself. Again, they used to sell this fruit to everyone, now mainly just being bottled under the Chase Cellars label. So excited to get in and try the Carlisle take on this from 2014. The site on this is kind of garnet, ruby, a little bit. You know, it's definitely red, not on the purple side. Wow, just beautiful fruit. Red cherry, bright cherry, Twizzler, licorice for sure, but like a cherry liqueur almost. Some mintiness to this as well. Tobacco and a woodiness, kind of like a cedar or sandalwood. I tell you what, this smells distinctly like Zinfandel, but it's also distinctively Napa. It's very elegant, very polished on the nose. Let's give it a whirl. Wow. Full, rich. Again, that black cherry, mint. Tannins are firm, but man, this really stays light on its feet. It's got a really good streak of acidity, which this vineyard is known for. These old vines really just do an incredible job. Yeah, the finish is just going and going with that black cherry and that mint. Just a fantastic effort here. If you haven't had any of these Zins, give any of these producers a try. They're making literally dozens a year from all the different vineyards around California. If you get a chance to get your hands on anything bottled from the Hayne, definitely take it up. It's really a unique wine. Fantastic. So I hope you've enjoyed a little bit of the history of Zinfandel. I hope you seek some out. And as we say at BIN 412, here's to drinking new regions, drinking new varieties. Cheers.